welcome you to the 31st Arnold Sports Festival. We very much appreciate your being here, and especially to this most auspicious occasion, which is the 8th Induction Ceremony of the International Sports Hall of Fame. This was founded, again, 8 years ago, by a man who most of you know, a most accomplished and interesting individual. He, again, felt we should recognize the greatest athlete legends in the world on this occasion each year, because we bring 200,000 people into this community. We have 22,000 athletes competing in 80 events. So it's the largest multi-sport event we know of anywhere in the world. And to recognize these great legends in this setting, we hope you'll agree, is appropriate. Dr. Goldman holds over 20 strength records and is enlisted 10 times in the Guinness Book of World Records. He is a 6th degree black belt and was inducted into numerous martial arts halls of fame. Over 20 years, he has been medical chairman of the International Bodybuilding Federation. Last year in this city, we recognized him for Lifetime Achievement Awards at the Arnold Sports Festival. He has been a strong supporter and friend of ours and for the Arnold Sports Festival for 30 years. Hey, I'm going to introduce Dr. Bob.
Thank you, Jim. Jim Lorimer and Arnold started the Arnold Sports Festival 31 years ago, and they've created a truly remarkable event that is globally recognized. Well, this group was founded 8 years ago, and the reason that we founded the International Sports Hall of Fame was to honor not only great legendary icons in sport, but also those that give back to society, that give back to mentoring youth and charitable work and so on, paying it forward. Without that component, they're not a candidate for the International Sports Hall of Fame. And all of these individuals up here have not only dedicated their life to sport and been great champions, but also have given back in charitable works. And that is what is so important in this area of the International Sports Hall of Fame. Also, you should note that this class, virtually every member of this class, is a former member of the military. They have given service to this country to protect this country, and let's give an extra big round of applause for serving. And of course, great Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. And we really so appreciate, Arnold, you being here at every one of these events. You know, it takes a whole year for these 48 minutes that we know we have you. So, he always cuts back. Now, you should know that in just these short 8 years, this International Sports Hall of Fame is now #1 on the internet under International Sports Hall of Fames in the world. Now, the other thing that's kind of different is we try to make every aspect of this very different. And this year we have something new. All past inductees into the International Sports Hall of Fame, as well as inductees this year, will be getting their own International Sports Hall of Fame jackets. All custom made with their hats, so they will look really marvelous. So you guys are all getting these to take home with you. I already paid for it. What can I say? Also, what we've done in terms of the athletes, every inductee, of course, gets this 18-karat gold-coated medallion, which weighs 2.5 pounds. We had a competition among 200 artists around the world to create these for these inductees, and then a lot of the competitions got angry at us because our medal's the biggest one. In addition, each of the inductees will also be receiving gold cufflinks and a gold lapel pin for their collection. Nice. And we have one more thing too. They also get for their desk a gold medallion for their desk. So they're reminded every day of your special day here today. So now, to get started, first of all, before I go to the next thing, I want to thank our Global Advisory Board members that are here today. Randy Couture, UFC World Champion, Mark Henry, Jim Mannion, Dan O'Malley, Robert Fletcher, America's Next Great Trainer, Alan Goldberg, Mega Martial Arts Event, of course, our great Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jim Lorimer, the co-founder of the Arnold Sports Film Festival, and most importantly, my Vice President of the International Sports Hall of Fame, Fairfax Ackley, who works like a dog all year round. Now, one of the things that makes this a real family event, we have past inductees that come up and return for this event every year. Ed Cohen, 70 world records, stand up. Ed Cohen, greatest powerlifter in history. Don the Dragon Wilson, 11-time world kickboxing champion. Cynthia Rothrock, 6-time world martial arts champion. Randy Couture, UFC world champion. And that's what makes this so special, that we have these people coming back. Our first inductee is Benny the Jet Urquidez. Benny is amazing. He was a world champion kickboxing martial arts choreographer and an actor. He pioneered full contact fighting in the United States. He's known for holding the rare achievement of 6 world titles in 5 different weight divisions and remained largely undefeated in 27 years of his career. Between 1974 and 1993, he amassed the records of 63 wins, 57 by knockout, undefeated in the adult black belt division, and a full contact karate champion. Black Belt magazine recognized him as the competitor of the year. He got his black belt at age 14 in the 1960s. That was a very rare event to get a black belt at such a young age. In 1974, he won the World Series of Martial Arts Championships, and over those next 2 decades, he kicks everybody's butt in every division you can imagine. In 2000, he started a Los Angeles filming group where he would actually teach stunts in the martial arts. And he's trained in 9 different styles of the martial arts. In 1974, he took on, Benny's only 5'6", 145 pounds, he took on a 6'1", 230-pound monster and leveled him. So he's also, you've seen him in a whole bunch of movies, a remarkable athlete, and Benny is a perfect example again of somebody who gives back, mentors young people, and really tries to make a difference in the world, and the students say he's a lifelong teacher of the martial arts. Benny? Okay, now you got to wear this, and you have to wear it for the whole ceremony. Yeah. Let's get a few shots of him. He scares me too.
First of all, man, look at all these beautiful warriors, man. There's, under this roof, all this talent. You know, I'm really feeling blessed. The fact that I want to thank Arnold Schwarzenegger for, you know, for this great celebration for so many years, bringing all these people together and doing beautiful things. I couldn't say enough for what you already heard from him anyways. I'm grateful and thankful to be here and be part of. And Dr. Goldman, I mean, talking about extravaganza, I mean, this is beautiful. I mean, he was telling me all about that, how excited I said it's really going to be an exciting time for. He's so right. He's so right. It's I mean, I've been to celebrations before, but this is extravaganza. This is a celebration. Wow. Yeah, it's beautiful. And so I want to thank you for just thinking of me, that I would, that I'm up here, that I get a chance to talk to and do the things I love doing, be with people I love being with. How blessed is that? So it's a really special time for me, and thank you for thinking of me. And I'd like to thank my wife. After 44 years bobbing and weaving, it ain't easy to being married to a fighter, that's for sure. And I want to thank her for all that, and my daughter Monique and Levi. I'm very blessed to have them in my life. And I come from a fighting family. My mother was a professional fighter, wrestler. My father, professional boxer. 9 black belts in my family, 4 champions in my family. So you can see there was never a dull moment in my house, that's for sure. It was always exciting. And time I like to really thank, I like to thank my team. Usually I have a team that really behind me, that's watching my back, and I'd like to thank them and share this with them as well. And Nancy and, basically, through all that I work with, they always make sure that, I'm going the right direction. And so thank you, Nancy and Majid, and, I'd like to thank Matt and Max and Drizia and Cody, and and it goes on with John, and I truly, this team, we kind of team for each other. They team me and I team with them. It's truly, thank you. I share this with you as well. And for all of you that actually did something great in your life and never, got acknowledged for it, well, I share this with you, truly. I acknowledge you. So I leave you with, believe as everything is possible. Thank you.
I want you all to understand one thing. What you see here at these events are really once-in-a-lifetime events, once-in-a-lifetime experiences that you will never see again. I just want to give you one quick example. Several years ago, when we inducted Franco Colombo into the International Sports Hall of Fame, I'm not sure if Franco's in here, but he's also a past inductee. We had Franco Colombo, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Bruno Sammartino, who had not seen each other for 45 years since they worked out in a gym in New York until they were on this stage together. That will never happen again, because Bruno's passed away, and those 3 icons being together for the first time in 45 years on this stage. So what you witnessed today, remember, what you are seeing is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. These groups of people may never be again together again. So realize the importance of what you're seeing. Our next inductee, these are all heroes. This guy is a real bona fide superhero. Tim Kennedy flew, he was on military missions in Africa, in the bush, flew all the way from Africa to be here for this ceremony today. This is not only a martial arts champion, a soldier, a movie star, a TV personality, but he's a real deal soldier. And this guy flew in from the mission to be here, and he had not seen his wife and his child until he arrived here in Columbus. So this is a very, very special situation. He served the United States Army while fighting professionally, which nobody else has really done. He competed in the MMA while serving as a Green Beret. While in the Army, he instituted service-wide combatives hand-to-hand training and fighting, a tournament in 2005. He entered the tournament, won it in the light heavyweight division, won it 3 years in a row. He was featured in Dick Couch's book, The Green Beret, called Chosen Soldier. He's a war hero who served on Operation Detachment Alpha as a sniper instructor, and principal combatives instructor in the Special Forces. He deployed in Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, multiple times. Among his multiple awards from the Army are the Bronze Star Medal and the V device awarded for valor under fire. He started his fighting in 1996, amassing a record of 30 wins over 5 years. In 1999, he won the Extreme Challenge. but he's been on active duty all over the world, but flew in all the way from Africa. Let's give it up for Tim Kennedy. Now, we're going to do something we've never done before. We're going to have a real deal, put the medal on his dad. Come here. Podium's yours.
Now, this is like as heavy as my body armor, so that's cool. Thank you, Mr. Goldman and the selection committee for giving this opportunity. It's strange. It's a weird thing to be recognized for achievement. When I look back, I remember failure. I remember losing title fights. I remember losing my last fight. I remember being blown up. I remember losing friends. I remember being in Ranger School and on an ambush line, middle of the winter, and it's cold. The ground's hard. My little tiny frozen peckers like vibrating off the ground. No, it was. Yeah. And the guy next to me, he stands up and he walks down to the ambush line and he's like, "I quit." I was like, that guy is a genius. That guy has it. I'm the worst combination of tough and dumb. And this has been this reoccurring theme where I'll just keep going. And ironically, I'm between Benny the Jet Rodriguez and David Goggins. Benny the Jet accumulated more titles in a year than I did in 17 years as a professional. I'm bragging to Mr. Goggins for my run this morning of 1.5 miles on the treadmill at a 9-minute pace. He does more miles in a warm-up than I do in a year of running. And yet again, this reoccurring, humbling position, but I'm still here, and I'm still going, and I think that's the point of it. At this point, I got a lot more to do. I'm just getting started, and it's like I said, odd, it's strange, it's weird to be here and being recognized when I just remember failure. But the success might be attributed to being tough and being dumb, maybe a little bit of luck, but I can't state enough that it's because of my family and my friends and my team. Some of my teammates didn't come back with me from trips, but I did. My wife, we're at 24 trips overseas for the military right now. Over 24 trips wearing a uniform, and she's still here. So that's pretty cool. My dad, he's a hero. Randy was a hero. Back to remembering failure. My first wrestling match, I was pinned in 28 seconds. To go on to fight for world titles is a testament to a little bit of tough and a lot of dumb. But my family, my team, my wife and my son, my daughters, I wouldn't be here without them. This is humbling, and I promise that I'm going to continue what I'm doing. Nothing's going to change. I'm too old, I'm too dumb to change, so you're just going to get more of the same. A lot more hard work, a lot more deployments, a lot more achievements, a lot more accomplishments, but ultimately, preservation of human life. So God bless you guys. Thank you for this opportunity.
I thought I was an endurance athlete until I learned about David Goggins. When you talk about ultra mega endurance, this guy's the man. He's a world champion, ultramarathon runner, ultra distance cyclist, triathlete, world record holder for the most pull-ups in 24 hours. He's a former United States Navy SEAL and former Air Force Tactical Air Control Party. He took part in the War of Afghanistan 2001 to the present and the Iraqi War. Most importantly, the component that makes him so important for what we want to do, which is mentoring, charitable work, and showing and raising things and paying it forward. He raised money for Special Operations Warrior Foundation. This foundation gives college scholarships and grants to children of fallen special operations officers and soldiers. He has raised over $2 million himself for this charity. David has competed in numerous long-distance running events over 100 times in these ultra marathons. He beat the previous record by 20 miles with a total distance of 203.5 miles, earning him a spot among the top 20 ultra marathoners in the world. In 2008, he was named the Hero of Running by Runner's World. His self-help memoir, Can't Hurt Me, was released in December of 2018, and we had some of Arnold's security guys who were going crazy knowing that you were going to be here to get the book signed by you. He was the subject of the book, Living with a SEAL. He completed and broke the world record for the most pull-ups done in 24 hours, completing 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours. Let's give it up for David Goggins. Okay, here we go.
Thank you. Well, this is a huge honor for me. I'm extremely shocked. Extremely shocked. I want to thank Doc. Thank you so much, Arnold. It's a huge honor to be sitting here and alongside with you. When I was younger, I watched so many of your movies and felt like I was this big. Literally, not because of your size, but because of your courage and how you approach things in life. Fairfax, I don't know what to say, man. You literally, no one would know me up here if you didn't, say, hey, there's this guy out here who's doing things way under the rug. So for me, I'm not a very known athlete. I'm not a professional athlete. I'm an underground athlete. I didn't do anything to accept these amazing awards. I did it because basically I grew up very tough life. Lived in a horrible place, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Got beat down so bad by my father that he beat the courage and strength out of me. So I had to find a way to kind of get it back. And how I did that was literally examining my soul. So in doing that, I started looking for the most uncommon people in the world. So it brought me into special operations, from the Air Force to the SEALs to Rangers. And along the way, I started realizing how powerful the mind truly is and how little we use of it. So when I was getting beat down, I thought I was nothing. I thought I was the lowest form on earth. And to develop my mindset, what I did was I started joining special operations unit, looking for these courageous men. And I found them. And when I found them, I started realizing that it's all in your head. The most important conversation is the one you have with yourself. You wake up with it, you walk around with it, you go to bed with it. Eventually, you act on it. And my conversation was a bad one. So the people who I thought were up here in my life, these uncommon men, I was putting myself down here. But over a period of time, I started realizing that I'm also uncommon. And I started pissing those uncommon men off by realizing that we all have this ability in our mind. So I'm going to leave you this one short story. It goes all over the place. I was 175 pounds, went to 300 pounds, lost 106 pounds to join the Navy SEALs in about 3 months. So I lost that weight really quick, got in the door, went through 3 hell weeks, finally got through Navy SEAL training, graduated, went on the Ranger School, so on and so forth. This is what kind of put me on the map as far as ultra running goes. You guys are, some of you are familiar with the story Lone Survivor, Marcus Luttrell. He's a really good friend of mine. I gained about 50 pounds back. I was about 250 pounds. This is a story about the mind. I'll go through it real quick. So I didn't put running shoes on for about 9 months, 10 months. I was overseas deploying, came back with the free fall school. I was at military free fall school with Morgan Luttrell, Marcus Luttrell's twin brother. We got the news that an incident happened where everybody died and they couldn't find Marcus Luttrell. So I got the call. My job was to tell Morgan Luttrell, his twin brother, who was also a Navy SEAL, that his brother might be dead. 4 days later, they found Marcus Luttrell alive. What I did was I went online, Googled, different events. This event came up called the Badwater 135, 135-mile race through Death Valley in the summertime. I didn't know that was even humanly possible to run that far. I thought it was a stage race. I thought you put your shoes on, ran 15 miles, set up a barbecue, camped out, and then did it again the next day. It was a 48-hour race. I went out there and basically to raise money for the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. So I called this guy up named Chris Kosman. Chris Kosman was the race director. He said to me, basically, you have to run 100 miles in 24 hours or less to qualify. I never run past 20 miles in my entire life, and up until now, I probably ran 20 miles this entire year. So he says, I call him up on a Wednesday. He says, you know what, there's a race on Saturday. And if you run 100 miles in 24 hours, I will consider you in my race. So I wasn't real smart growing up, and obviously I wasn't real smart right now. So I did the math like less than a 15-minute mile. So I said, you know what, I can walk this. Dumbest decision I made in my entire life. Went out there about 250 pounds, and I get to mile 50. So this is in San Diego, November. So on a 1-mile track, where you go as many times as you can around 1-mile track for 24 hours. I get to mile 50 in about 12, 13 hours. I sit down. I sit in this blue lawn chair. I saw my ex-wife every single mile. I got Ritz crackers in Mileplex with my nutrition. I was a musclehead, so I drank a lot of Mileplex back then. So basically, here I am drinking Mileplex, Ritz crackers. By mile 70, I haven't gone to the bathroom one time, no water. That Mileplex tastes like hell, and the Ritz cracker is a ball in my mouth. This is where I really realized that, so I'm already a Navy SEAL. This is when I realized that we only use 40% of our mind. This is when I started going crazy with mindset and being a scientist of the mind. We go, I'm at mile 70, I look at my ex-wife, when you sit down not having to go in the bathroom for 12 hours, what must you do? Go to the bathroom. So I sit down, and I look at her. It's the farthest I've ever gone in my entire life. 7 miles, I'm happy, I'm feeling good. And I can't get up to go to the bathroom. It's literally from me to end the stage. So I look at her, and I said, honey, do you love me? She goes, why? I go, because I can't stand up. My blood pressure's all messed up. I go, I'm going to take a shit on myself right now. So I went bath my back, and I started peeing blood down my leg. And my ex-wife's like, oh, my God, you got to stop. This is when I realized throughout my whole life, all the bad times, all the good times, you know what, I'm not going to quit yet. Let me get better. Let me fix my blood pressure. Let me get some potassium, sodium, nutrition in my body. Let me see if I can fix myself. So I said, if I can just walk 1 more mile after being in the worst shape of my entire life, this would change everything for me mentally going forward. From this kid who came from dirt and nothing, who couldn't read until he was a junior in high school and is now here. I walked a mile. I said, maybe I can walk 1 more mile. Maybe I can walk another mile. At mile 81, my ex-wife looked at me and said, you're not going to make the time. When your mind knows it's not going to quit, and this is what I found out. This is my 40% rule. When your mind knows it's not going to quit, your body will adapt to whatever is in front of it. I ended up running 20 more miles. I did 101 miles in 19 hours and 6 minutes. And that one day changed, 19 hours. It wasn't SEAL training, it wasn't Ranger School, it wasn't Delta Force, it wasn't any of that crap I went through. It was just 19 hours and 6 minutes that forever changed my life to know that we as human beings are capable of anything. And we don't need any special kind of parents or tools to get there. So I end you with this. Don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done. Thank you very much.
As you can see, we're lacking inspiration and excitement today. Our next inductee, we're so excited that Michael Buffer was able to fit this into his schedule. He's probably one of the most famous sports announcers in history. His half-brother is a UFC announcer, Bruce Buffer. In 1984, Buffer developed the catchphrase, "Let's get ready to rumble," which we all know since every fight we've watched. His work was so admired by the boxing great Sugar Ray Leonard once said, "When Buffer introduces a fighter, it makes him want to fight." Buffer was formerly the exclusive ring announcer for the World Championship Wrestling, the WCW, main events including Hulk Hogan and many other top talents. During his career, he has announced the World Series, the Stanley Cup Finals, the NBA Finals, the Bristol Motor Speedway, the NFL playoff games, and the Indianapolis 500 and the United States Grand Prix. He has also announced many UFC fights, and we have a lot of UFC fans here. He has appeared on loads of not only TV shows, media, as well as movies. He's got another major movie coming out in motion pictures. So you've seen him not only on stage, not only in the fight game, not only as an announcer for various sports events, but also as a bona fide movie star. This man is a true legend of action sports and a true legend of sports promotion and sports announcing. Let's give it up for Michael Buffer.
That is heavy.
Yes, it is.
Oh, there you go. We got to get a shot over here with the governor, too, please. Thank you. This thing really is heavy, believe me. I will need help to get back to my room just to wear it around my neck. You know, it really is such a privilege to be here and to be among these great sports heroes and athletes. You know, I'm not the guy that does the sit-ups and the running and the training like, you know, these stories you just heard. And I'm so proud to be here with Tim, David, Benny, the Jet, and Rocky. It's just, it blows me away. And I'm actually on the same stage as the kindergarten cop and... But all I can think of is like a few years ago when I heard those words, to crush your enemies, to see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women. Great stuff. And oh yeah, who can forget that? Kindergarten Cop is my favorite one though. And you know, to know what these gentlemen up here that are also getting this award today, to know what they went through and the training and the physical things that they've done to inspire others and to drive themselves. With me, I just want to mention, for me personally, there's a lot of luck involved in everyone's life. And I was born during World War II, and my biological father was in the Navy, sent off in an aircraft carrier to the Pacific. And my mom had to work, and at the age of 11 months I went to live with a foster family and ended spending the rest of my life with this family, and it was a blessing. It was like a Leave It to Beaver life in the 50s and 60s and growing up in the Philadelphia area, and that was luck. And then at the age of 49, I run into my biological father, the guy that was sent off in an aircraft carrier, and met two great half-brothers, and Bruce and Brian, and good luck there. Just great things happen to you. There's a gentleman over here, my oldest son, Michael Patrick, who in 1982, we were watching the fights on TV, and a ring announcer gave the final scores for a split decision. And he said, after the first two scores, you knew who won the fight, and it took away that drama of the third score, and the winner by split decision, and the place gets quiet. So it just kind of killed it. And my son says, he's like 13 or 14 times, says, "Dad, you could do that." Thank you, Michael. I guess I owe you a few bucks now, right? And I put together, not even knowing how one gets their foot in the door. We lived in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia area. Atlantic City had fights 2-3 times a week, and there was a big industry of boxing, and all these stars were there. And so I wrote letters to all the casino hotels, not knowing that the promoter actually hires you, or you have to get a license and all that. And the one hotel, at the time, after a horrible stint as a car salesman after being in the Army, and then I was a model. And so I had a headshot and a resume, and I sort of embellished a little bit and said, I have experience, you know, announcing sports. None whatsoever. And the Playboy used to have the Playboy Hotel Casino, and they had regularly the Tuesday night fights on USA. And so the entertainment director, Toby Berlin, told the promoter, said, why don't you hire this guy? He's got this, and I kind of like hinted like, the casino needs a James Bond image, you know, and I was such BS. And I got my foot in the door, and in October of 1982, I made my debut as a boxing ring announcer, and man, I was just horrible. I was like this, and flop sweat, and it was really dreadful. And it was 6 months before I ever got another chance to do it. And I corrected a few mistakes and got my foot in the door and became a regular on Top Rank Boxing on ESPN, which at the time was the #1 show on ESPN, and they would replay the fights 6, 7 times a week. And it just progressed from there. And it's been 37 and a half years of a lot of fun, and it led to being in films and TV and doing commercials and things like that. And again, it's a lot of luck. And but one of the best things I think I ever did was when I started, the ring announcers were introducing all their buddies on the boxing commission. 4 commissioners, 4 doctors, the executive director, the president, the supervisor. Now, what had happened was the fighters in the 60s and 70s and 80s started coming to the ring with music and a lot of action with the lights and all that. So the crowd gets all excited, and the ring announcer was killing the crowd with all those introductions about people they didn't care about. I mean, you don't go to a baseball game and before they introduce the starting lineup, they don't introduce the entire front office from New York. So I wanted something that would be comparable to gentlemen, start your engines. Man, you know that means the race is going to begin. So I wanted to bring back the energy for the fans when they would meet the stars of the show, the fighters, the main event fighters. And I tried, ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. Man your battle state. No, nothing was happening. And the great Muhammad Ali used to say, you know, he was just so energetic and everything. And I'm sure we all remember him saying, you know, I'll float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. And he would say, I'm ready to rumble, I'm so pretty. And I kind of incorporated this line where I would say, let's get ready to rumble. And it was nothing like it's, you know, like I say it today, and it just, you know, grew through the years, and I got advice from different people in show business. When you say it, shut up, people want to react. So I started doing that, and I guess the rest is history. So, you know, once again, a lot of luck involved. I created, the best thing I did there was I trademarked it. So, Dr. Bob, I heard you use it earlier. My attorney was pleased. Oh, I'm just saying, you know. Just kidding. But I really want to thank, you know, Dr. Bob, and Fairfax, and the city of Columbus, the way they all just get together and put on this great event here, and Governor Schwarzenegger, thank you very much for, you know, being a part of this and your support of all the athletic endeavors through the years. And I see buddies of mine, hi Chuck, and you know, here, and who doesn't even tell me he's in attendance, but he shows up. And I'm just really honored to be here. And so let me just leave you with one thing. Let's get ready to rumble!
How many heroes can you put in one room? Well, I got one more for you. Rocky Bleier. You know, I not seen Rocky in 35 years when we were both at a medical symposium lecturing on sports medicine. That was last time. By the way, Franco Colombo's in the house, also inductee into the International Sports Hall of Fame. One of the strongest men in the world. Rocky Bleier, National Football League NFL champion, halfback for the Pittsburgh Steelers in '68 and then again from '71 to 1980. Rocky graduated from Xavier High School in '64. He starred in football and basketball. In football, he was a three-time All-State selection as a running back and won all conference honors at both linebacker and defensive back, and was team captain in football, basketball, and track. He played college football at University of Notre Dame. In 1966, the Fighting Irish won the national championship, and he was team captain the following year. After his rookie year with the Steelers, he was drafted into the Army. In '68, went to the Vietnam War and was awarded the Bronze Star and Purple Heart. Doctors told him he would never play football again. But the Steelers called him. They said, "Rocky, we need you." He trained his way back. And in 1976, both Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier rushed for over 1,000 yards, making this the second NFL team to accomplish this feat. He played for the first 4 Steelers Super Bowl victories, and the last time I saw Rocky, he had all 4 Super Bowl rings on, and the crowd went crazy in the room. He helped get them Super Bowl 13 and recover the fumble for that game. He retired in 1980 with 3,865 rushing yards and 136 receptions for 1,294 yards and 25 touchdowns. He's the Steelers' 4th all-time rushing record holder. And they even made a story about his life called the Rocky Bleier story. And they just renamed the stadium at his high school, now named Rocky Bleier Field. Let's give it up for Rocky Bleier. I know he can handle this.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bob, and the committee for allowing me to be here. What great stories. And I do have to say, in all honesty, even though I might be the last speaker, to be able to be a part of this group of what these gentlemen have accomplished in their lives, it's amazing and what they've gone through. Truly deserve to be here and be on this stage. And so it's with great pride, I'm glad to be able to be a part of this class. And so I thank you for that. I hold no records. I did not do anything. I'm best known for getting in the way of Franco Harris throughout the 70s and making him the great running back that he become over that period of time. But as I look out over the audience and what this whole weekend really is all about, are champions and competing, and people who found a niche, people who are individuals within a sport that is not necessarily, quote, a team sport. But in all honesty, that's what we really are all. We are all about team. And how did we get here? You know, the one business I really think that we are all in, especially this weekend, and what this Hall of Fame stands for, is that we're really in the hope business, if you think about it. Because ultimately, as I reflect back on my experience and everybody else's experience, is that, you know, no man is an island. We really all belong to one continent of one nature or another. We didn't get to where we are today by ourselves. We got here because of someone, something, an opportunity. We got here because of a parent, a mentor. We got here because of a coach, a director. We got here because of a drill sergeant. We got here because somebody pushed us through a door, took an interest, grabbed us by an ear, yelled at us,
and got us to a point that we took upon ourselves. Hope. And it all starts somewhere. That little ingredient that you uncover one day that said, I can accomplish something in my life. That little core. And mine, I have to tell you in all honesty, started with the greatest football game I ever played in. I was 9 years old. I was playing Dickie Weisgerber, my next door neighbor. Now, being born and raised in a small Midwestern town, Appleton, Wisconsin, see, for us cheeseheads, I mean, football was a big part of our lives, and Dickie and I had an extensive schedule. We had home and away games, and the first game of that season was an away game for me, so of course, I had to go across the street and pick up Dickie and play on his sideline, but let me tell you, what a game. I mean, really, in all honesty, what a game. I scored 51 touchdowns that afternoon. Thank you very much. More importantly, I shut him out. I mean, the sucker didn't score. I mean, think about it, that's 357 to nothing. It was a game of skill and will and scouting. I mean, I knew Dickie's weaknesses. Now, just because the fact Dickie was 5, really, in all honesty, should not take anything away from my personal achievement, because you didn't know Dickie. He was a big 5. He was a tough kid, you know. But the interesting thing is that, you know, I grew up across the street, as I said, and I grew up in a bar, a neighborhood shut in a beer joint, and we lived behind it, and we slept upstairs. And you know, I met a lot of great people that walked through those doors and sat on those stools across from my father, but I also met a lot of would'ves and could'ves and should'ves, as we all have in our lives. You know, Rock, I could have played. But, you know, I blew my knee out in 2nd grade, and, you know, just never responded since, or I should have played or would have played. Now, there's always reasons that sometimes those childhood dreams that we had didn't come to fruition, but hopefully what we've been able to do is we have, use them as a stepping stone to propel us in a new and different direction. And, you know, Dickie was never a would have, could have, should have guy, and we always competed and played against one another, and in the neighborhood and Pop Warner and junior high and high school and so on. And one of the things I'd come to learn through that experience, as we all have, whether we are in a group or an individual or in a team, because we're all part of a team, is that there was a catalyst. There was always a catalyst. It would take those individuals and kind of mold them to a unit. And because of the effect of that unit, or because of the success of that unit, you got recognized for your contribution, and because of that, you take the next step and you move up. And coming out of high school, I got a chance to play college football. And because of a mentor, a coach, bringing together those individuals. By my junior year, we win the national championship, and by my senior year, I become captain of the football team. But because of that success, you get recognized for your contribution. And because of that, I get a chance to play in the National Football League, and I get drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 1968. Now, just to put things in the right perspective, I was not their first choice. No, I did not make their top 10 list. As a matter of fact, I was the 417th person picked in the draft that year. I was a 16th round draft choice, but you have to understand, there were 17 rounds. Hey, at least I wasn't the last guy picked. I might have a chance to be able to make this team. And people said, how'd you make the team? Well, do you remember who played for the Steelers in the 60s? Well, that's how come I made the team, because nobody can remember who played for them during that period of time. But the interesting thing is that opportunities exist, and they exist because of a team. They exist because of a coach. They exist because somebody's in your ear. They exist because somebody gave you that impetus to help you reach your dreams and your goals. And everything that has been accomplished, you put the time and you put the effort in, You overcome the obstacles, but you can't do it without a support system. And for all those who have given a support system to be able to be here on this stage, I thank you, and I thank all of you for allowing us to be a part of this.
So Rocky, it's not often that on a Saturday you're inducted into the Hall of Fame, and on Tuesday you celebrate a birthday. So Michael Buffer, would you step forward and do the honors?
Before I go a little further, you didn't notice this gentleman mention the fact that after his rookie year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was drafted during the Vietnam War, and we all know the story after that, and came back to play and gain 1,000 yards and win 4 Super Bowls. And he never mentions it. He never brings it up. And I love you for that. So in less than 72 hours, he will be a birthday boy. You notice a little snow on the roof, but man, the house still looks like it's in good shape, doesn't it? So for the hundreds in attendance and the millions around the world who wish they could be here, let's get ready to sing Happy Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rocky. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Rocky.
And now, as always, at the close of the International Sports Hall of Fame, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce my lifelong friend, my hero, idol, the man who makes this weekend possible and is the inspiration of tens of millions of people, maybe hundreds of millions of people around the world, Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Well, thank you very much. Just in case, sit down, relax. I mean, how do you like this look? He's my buddy, and we have a continuous watch competition. I have a watch, and here's the bigger watch the next year. So this is an ongoing kind of a thing. But I mean, Bob has been fantastic, and I just want to say, and what a great inspiration each and every one of you out here are to me and to all of us. And I think this is what the Arnold Sports and Fitness Festival is all about. To bring people together, the greatest of the greatest heroes, sports heroes, and to inspire the rest of the world. And this is what the Arnold Classic is all about. And I just want to say, because Rocky said earlier, someone always helped us to get there. And it is absolutely correct. The one that helped me to get here is Jim Lorimer, right over here, my partner. Let's give him a big, big hand. Jim has been the most extraordinary partner. I mean, since 1970, when we met, we kind of looked at each other and said, we're going to become partners and run bodybuilding competitions. And so we started in 1976. And there we ran the Mr. Olympia, then the following year Mr. Olympia, and the following year after that Mr. Olympia, Mr. Universe, and then Miss International, and all of those competitions until it eventually, 31 years ago, it turned into the Arnold Classic. And it has become now the biggest sports and fitness festival. And the reason for this is because we are very inclusive. And we don't believe that bodybuilding is the only means to getting strong and to get fit and muscular, but there's many sports that keep people fit. So we wanted to be inclusive, and so today I'm so happy that I can announce that we have more sports than ever before. We have 80 different sports and athletes from 80 different countries. We have 22,000 participants Think about that. That's how big is the Olympics have around 11,000 athletes participating. We have 22,000 athletes participating here this weekend. So this is how big that we have gotten. And this is all part of our fitness crusade around the world. We are now in every continent with the Arnold Classic all around the world. And we're promoting this, that sports and fitness is for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're young, if you're old, if you're rich, you're poor. It doesn't matter what color, what religion, or anything. Everyone in our organization is equal. And even, I don't know if you watched it yesterday night, we had special athletes, because we always think about, the greatest athletes are the ones that are the best football players, something like this. But there's some great athletes. I was the international coach of Special Olympics. And I've seen people that have that are intellectually challenged, the kind of things that they have to overcome to become a winner. So we had yesterday a Special Olympian perform on stage and to do a deadlift. Now that guy does 500-pound deadlift. He's just on the way to Abu Dhabi to the World Championships, to the World Olympic Games, Special Olympic Games, and he's going to probably win the gold medal there in deadlift and in bench press and in the total. So we had him on stage there because to us, he's an equal of an athlete as anyone else is. We had someone with cerebral palsy up there on stage yesterday doing a deadlift. And we had someone that lost a leg in the Afghanistan war that was physically handicapped, and he was performing a press, and a clean and a press, and did an extraordinary, he's the world's strongest man. Bench press is over 500 pounds and deadlift over 600. And does the log press with 300 and some pounds and all that stuff. It was really amazing, but with one leg. Think about this, with one leg. So this is why, we had those athletes on stage yesterday to show to the world that everyone has a right to be healthy, everyone has a right to be fit, everyone has a right to be strong, and everyone has a right to compete. That is the important thing, that everyone is equal. That's what the Arnold Classic is all about. So it's great to have all of you here. It's great to have all the great champions and the heroes here. So we see you again next year. I'll be back. Thank you very much.